I was also educated in Korea. I went to Waego. And one thing that I was, like an epiphany I had is they all tell you all the ways to not fail in life. Like there's a formula, do this, and like I'll get you to college but like it doesn't really prepare you to fail. I think the most important thing for me has been you will at some point definitely fail. Someone will definitely not like you or something will definitely happen. But it's really about how do you get back up? Yeah, I think that's what's important. Hi, my name is Jin. I'm currently a data product manager at Block, formerly named as Square. I started working after graduating in 2015, so I'll hit the 10-year mark pretty soon. I think like most seniors in college, I was kind of I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was pre-law at some point, but I studied public policy, which I'm very much was and still am interested in, but I just didn't know. So I applied randomly to a non-tech company. It was a CPG company. It was called Heinz, the ketchup company. And then I chose it because it had a rotational program. So it was a 1-year gig of you could rotate between sales, marketing, and finance. And so I thought, maybe after that I'll have a better idea of the direction I want to take. And I had a safety net of going back to school to complete my master's, which was also in public policy. What ended up happening were two things. Heinz was going through a merger at that time with Kraft. So now it's called Kraft Heinz Company. And I started in finance, and I was the only person within my cohort to not be able to rotate because I was involved in merger-related work. And so I did layoff-related finance. So that was my journey, calculating how many people to lay off to post-merger. And so that was my first gig, but it was so fast-paced. You would think that a traditional American company is very slow, but with the M&A going on, a Brazilian private equity firm bought it, and so things just moved so fast. A lot of efficiency, operations-driven effort was taken, and so that just never made me want to go back to school, because I initially also was thinking of doing like a public policy related job in the government, but after such a high-paced environment, I didn't think that I could go back. So I just didn't go to complete the master's. Instead, I stayed in finance. Yeah, tech is interesting, right? That was 2017, and there are, people do say sometimes that tech is now slowing down, or the Bay Area is no longer what it used to be. Lyft was a very good candidate for me because it was like a perfect marriage of a very hot up-and-coming tech company that was still in growth mode, and they were really marching towards expanding regions, expanding riders, still developing their strategy and company. I think we all love an underdog. And just when I joined, I don't know if people remember, but there was something called like Delete Uber movement. And so I was like, if this underdog can survive that, use that as a, catalyst for growth, which did happen. That's such a fun story. And I was still so young, I wanted to have fun. And so I think it was like the perfect reason to join. I started from the bottom. I was a financial analyst. And so I think what was interesting is at a company at that stage, really, there aren't any ways to operationalize anything. So you work very closely, I think, in established companies' finances. What happens at the end, or what do you do post all the business has been run, all the experimentations have been run. But at a tech company at that stage, finance really is, you have to work with the GMs, like the general managers, like the regional managers, to say, hey, is this coupon working? Is this strategy working? And so it was a very low paid job. It was a lot of working hours, a lot of like late nights, but honestly, looking back, it was the most fun I had because I really felt like I was part of a growing movement. Come 2020, I think COVID hit, and then I was also, by that point, just wondering what else is there? Because at the end, I felt like there were limitations to being in finance. I will say the good thing about finance is you do have a lot of visibility. If you want to understand the numbers and provide rationale, which I was doing, so at some point, my main role was to do a weekly forecast of the entire company and send that deck over to the C-suites and be able to explain weekly, this is how our business is doing. Like, this is our primary business, but there was also like autonomy driving also still being considered. There was scooters are now gone, but there was like that movement, like city bikes got acquired. It had a lot of visibility. I loved being able to know exactly what was going on, but I still felt like what was amiss was my wanting to learn, like, who are these people that decide to do these experiments or launch these products and say, this is our strategy and we think it's gonna work. I kind of wanted to see that, but to me, the most realistic transition from finance to non-finance was starting internal, which meant, okay, I want to start looking into like roadmaps and like being more of a product manager, which is what I wanted to try. But I didn't want to give up the finance side because I do have like more knowledge than non-finance people in that realm. So I became a finance product manager. Yeah, so at that point, I was at Lyft for about 6 years, and then I got laid off. When I got laid off, it was the last quarter of 2022. The first layoff for Lyft happened, 20% or something happened. So it was a big layoff. In big numbers was definitely like an eye-opener. I think there is also like, if you work for a company for too long, I think there is some kind of lost motivation to want to bring your best self. I think that was also a component. I can't really say I felt too much about it. So I took that as a nice break. So I took like 6 months off, absolutely not doing anything, not even making an effort to like recruit or anything. Went back to Korea, traveled to like Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong. I had a blast.
Awesome.
But that's not a motivation, you just do it. I will never run a marathon, but I run every day. It's just habits to me that I form. Sometimes, some days, I am not gonna bring my best self, but am I gonna feel bad about it? Sure. Do I feel like I could do better? Yes. So will I make myself do better? Like, given a chance, yes. And I am not, in a way, changing the world, and it's ultimately, it's not for other people. I work for me. My definition of a worker's high is, I think I have experienced runner's high a few times. I've only had a short career journey so far, but if there's anything closest to it, it probably was when I was at Lyft. Things were still so uncertain. The company could either go down or progress up really fast. I think the perfect combination was, it was like that stage of the company that I just described, but also the fact that I was like an analyst, like no one below me. Like I was the bottom tiered person. It's like being that leader and having to make decisions. Like I can have impact. Though, like realistically, I don't get paid enough. I don't have like that authority. Like I still feel I have this confidence that everything I do will somehow translate into company's growth. Not sure if it's like really true, but it's how I felt. That feeling was definitely true. I think for me that was closest to like a worker's high. Well, first of all, I don't know if I'm successful. I think working for big established companies does not make you successful. Do I make myself happy? I think it's more important to me. I think that's success, right? I've only had an internship in Korea, for example, but the difference is you really need to speak up. If you don't speak up, no one is gonna do anything for you. I think the important thing is being completely okay with saying, I don't know what you mean, or saying, I don't understand. I think that's what I say the most in my company too. All the time, I'm like, sorry, I don't understand. Can you explain to me? Just making sure that you're, being assertive enough that you can tell others confidently what you're looking for, what you want. I was also educated in Korea. I went to Waego. And one thing that I was, like an epiphany I had is, they all tell you all the ways to not fail in life. Like if you do XYZ, you will probably succeed. You won't probably have to experience something shitty. I think the most important thing for me has been, you will at some point definitely fail. Someone will definitely not like you, or something will definitely happen. But it's really about, how do you get back up? Yeah, I think that's what's important. being able to like be resilient, that knowing that you are gonna fail, like you are not God, no one is not gonna fail in life, even the most successful people. I think they are who they are because they have failed. So not being afraid and just taking it a day at a time with discipline might help. But I do not have a secret recipe. Like my parents always told me, or people that I've like studied with, it was always like there's a formula, do this, and like I'll get you to college, and then, but like it doesn't really prepare you to fail.